So I hope that gives you some idea.
I think I understand, Mr. Fields. Again, it is that your interest is to have a protocol, particularly for those, it seems like those who seem most vulnerable. And it is your position that the current law does not provide the protection necessary for those most vulnerable with respect to wills, trusts, deeds, and powers of attorney.
Now, I'd like to address, yes, you're right.
Am I correct? Just a moment. Is there anyone else from the court that has, anyone else from the commission that has a question, comment, or anything for Mr. Fields? This is our opportunity for exchange.
Can I address Judge Swift's remarks still?
Are there any other questions or comments? I want to make sure if there are any other questions or comments.
I have a question, and obviously I'm coming from a different standpoint, so mine might seem antagonistic. But first of all, if I could also ask you, it would really help me if you could stand behind the podium.
Okay.
Because you're standing right in front of the window.
Thank you.
That's much better. Again, I apologize. This is probably going to sound very rude, but I'm trying to choose something different than what everyone else there is. I completely understand where you're coming from to start off with. But what I'm curious is to how you feel that this pertains directly to elder abuse in the sense that I've been working on this project and dealing with that. It sounds like you're kind of, it sounds like most of the protections you're trying to achieve are for the people after the fact of the will and where things are displaced and who gets what and all of those kind of things. So how do you feel that this directly plays into elder abuse? I understand that the wishes may not be being followed, but it doesn't seem, unless you're talking about like the one case where you're talking about signing away nursing home rights, which is completely different from a will and things like that, because it's in a different circumstance, that it doesn't sound possibly that it's directly elder abuse because it's not neglect, it's not sexual.
Sure. Let me address your question. Let me answer your question. First of all, a high percentage, 30, 50%, depending on report and depending on locale and things like that, is financial exploitation. Detective Rubichuk wrote a book published last year, personal acquaintance who thinks pretty highly of me and I think pretty highly of him, called Financial Abuse of the Elderly, a Detective's Case Files of Exploitation Crimes. Now, the typical garden variety exploitation, which he addresses in his 12 cases, are cases where, and they're all crimes and they're all supposed to be, they're all elder abuse situations. A roofer comes and sells you a contract on a roof you don't need and doesn't show up for the job. I've had some conversations with the Attorney General's office because he can probably get away with it here in Ohio as long as he does something, even if he doesn't do much. If he just shows any intent at all to do the job, he's not going to get investigated for it, according to what I was told from the Attorney General's office about 3 weeks ago. But anyhow, in 1/3 or 1/4 of the cases Detective Rubichuk reported in his book, and I don't think he realized it at the time he wrote the book, individuals pursued their exploitation to create a will, which the person signed without knowing or was brought to the person's attention, didn't know what was going on. Now, if you're going to worry about a roofing job, I think you ought to worry about the entire estate. If you're going to, in my dad's own case, which was through a second marriage governed by a prenuptial agreement between a widow and a widower, my father had, and the records showed, and the attorney's own law firm had records which were subpoenaed to show that he wasn't even going to allow her to stay in the house unless she paid for the upkeep of the house. You know, the way the prenuptial agreement was, they each paid for half the house, and he said, "Why should my family pay for you to live in the house? You know, you're a millionaire. Your kids are, you're millionaires and stuff. Why should we have to pay for you to live there? Just pay for the upkeep." And she, being for whatever reason, refused to do so. So he wasn't going to even let her live in there for 2 years. All she had to do, and then she could have bought the house. That was always an option too. She walks away with the house. He wasn't even going to let her live there for 2 years. Now you say, what's that do to him? People work their whole lives to save money for their heirs. My grandmother used to, his mother used to give us a $25 savings bond because she was basically a very disabled type person and was very proud at Christmas times. $25. They walked away with much more than $25. This impacts families. Like I said, how many people want their estates determined by presumptions of evidence, by presumptions and circumstantial evidence when it can be done right? That's the whole point. That's elder abuse. If that isn't elder abuse, then forget the roofing cases and all the others because they're minuscule in amount. Whether it's your whole house, it's everything you've got is at risk. And if that's and again, we're talking about a crime. This isn't about just who an heir doesn't get what he wants or what was coming to him. This is about a criminal, typically a criminal in the legal profession, getting away with a crime. Now, if crime's okay with the people in this room, you know, let's have open crime. Let's just forget about laws to protect people against crimes. We're talking about crimes, and very serious crimes.